Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. A freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient domes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show.
Hello, all you freaks out there. This is Ryan.
And this is Rhonda.
It is National Salmon Day, guys. And I am more of a tuna fish guy, but occasionally I will eat a nice smoked salmon.
I love salmon.
I'll eat some salmon tuna every once in a
Salmon
while.
tuna.
Yeah, not salmon tuna.
Salmon tuna.
Okay, so I meant salmon. I meant salmon sushi, but I don't know what I was doing. I love me. And this is how we start your first show back after your vacation.
Yes.
Talking about salmon tuna.
It's a new kind of fish.
That's a rare cryptid that Dave needs to find.
Super rare
salmon,
cryptid.
The salmon tuna.
It only comes out on October the 8th.
Yes. Yes. I don't know if you like mate a salmon and a tuna together, you get salmon tuna. So that's my favorite kind of fish, the salmon tuna. That's my favorite kind of fish. So
the salmon tuna.
The salmon tuna. Happy salmon day, guys. Hope you guys had a great salmon day. And
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about your trip a little bit before I get
Sure.
into the nitty gritty. A quick
Sure.
rundown of how everything went for you.
It was a whirlwind. We had a blast. So we took off. We went to our last stop was Fairhaven, Massachusetts for Mass Paracon. But
Mhm.
so we left on Monday and made our way starting upwards towards Salem because we decided to go to Salem first. So we made our way up to Fairfield, Connecticut, spent the night there. And then while we were there, no, the next day we started. Did we go then? I'm trying to remember where we were. I don't even like it's such a blur to me. But anyway,
It was a
so
whirlwind.
the next stop we did is our friend Jeff Belanger, author Jeff Belanger. He was doing a tour. He's doing a tour over October where he's speaking at certain libraries. So he was at a library close by. So we stopped and visited with him. Kind of surprised him. He wasn't expecting us. So we stopped and saw Jeff. Then we made our way to Salem. I had a blast in Salem. We did as many tourist things as we could do in a day and a half. We went to, the memorial for the witch trials. We went to the Witchboard Museum, did as many touristy things as we could. And then we made our way up towards Fairhaven on Thursday. And then that night we kind of backtracked a little bit and we went to the Lizzie Borden house and did a public investigation at the Lizzie Borden house. And that was just wild. Just wild.
Did you get anything?
Oh yeah. It was wild. There was a lot of activity there. A lot of activity. I'd love
Was there
to
a
go
big crowd
back.
there?
Huh?
Was there a big crowd there for the public, or was
we had she said it was the largest crowd she had in a year, but you figure we were kicking off the Halloween season, so I'm sure it's been that way ever since. But it was wild. There's a new owner to the Lizzie Borden house. There are some things that I just personally didn't care for, not so much the investigation, but like they've got a mannequin on the couch where Mr. Borden was unalived. They kind of have a replica of what that would have been like, and they've got the autopsy pictures kind of laying out on a dining room table and just stuff that have kind of like it's a little disrespectful for the
you don't need to have it out.
Yeah.
If you want to see it, you can ask for it, but that's kind of like
it's to me it's just kind of disrespectful to the spirits. You know what I mean? It's disrespectful to the dead, but that's just my opinion. It was funny, Sean. I see Sean on here. Michael Brooks asked, so did they have an axe? And actually, they have axes you can buy. If you want an axe souvenir, you're welcome to buy one.
That's really milking. It's like at the cabin, me selling a pistol or like a cap gun at the cabin.
Right.
It's like,
yeah. But we got a lot of activity. I'd love to go back because it's a bed and breakfast now, so you can stay there. And my understanding is if you stay there as a guest, kind of when things are quieter and there's no tours, you can do your own investigating there while you're there. So I'd kind of like to do that at some point.
Yeah, well, to stop you from going to your room and breaking out a tape recorder.
Exactly.
We
did. We had quite a bit of activity, and it seemed like all the groups were. And it's a pretty big. It's a big location, so. There's like when we can only do, because it's a bed and breakfast, you can only do the basement and the first floor. But even the basement has like 3 separate areas within it that you can investigate. And then upstairs, there's 3 or 4 different rooms up there that you can investigate. So even though there's a lot of people, you can spread out. There is a lot of course, noise contamination and things like that. But I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, and so then Friday we kind of just goofed around during the day. That evening is when Mass Paracon kicked off. We went to Fort Phoenix, and some of the group did an investigation there during the day. And then we just did Mass Paracon on Friday night and Saturday, and that was, there was a lot of cool people there. John Zaffis and
Lisa.
So there's a whole bunch of different all the people were there. I sat in on a lot of cool lectures, got to meet a lot of cool people. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But it went by, we tracked it. We went 1,500 miles. And then on Sunday, we drove 11 hours back home.
You had a busy week. I was keeping track of what you guys were doing on Facebook and stuff like that. And you just constantly
we were like, going. Yeah.
You made the most out of your trip.
We did.
That's for sure. You're like, if I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna do everything that I can fit into the day.
Yeah, we did. I'm glad we did too. It was but it was one of those weeks we had a lot going on, but it didn't feel like, sometimes we go on vacation, it feels like the week just flies by, and it didn't. It felt like we were able to kind of space it out.
Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Definitely would have wanted more time. And if you're ever going to Salem, I would advise more than a day and a half. There's so much history there and so much you can do. You really can't pack it into a day and a half. But
it just gives you an excuse to go back. Like you needed one anyways. But
exactly.
Now you really have one. You need to finish up all the places you haven't gone to yet.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I'm glad you had a fun time.
Yeah.
Sarah and I held the fort down for you last week talking to Helena.
Yeah, I bet I watched part of it. That was a really cool show. Helena's awesome.
It was a fun conversation and good news. Jerry, well, not good news because Jerry can't come on next week. So I replaced her with Helena. So Helena will be joining our spiritual roundtable next week. So that'll be a fun show.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
So I like I said, I want to give you a chance to talk about your trip, and now it's time for you to tell us
what the cards say.
Hold on,
give them a quick shuffle here. Let's see what the cards say this week for the collective that are watching.
We didn't know how to live our lives last week. We were just running around,
know what to do, right?
Walking into walls and stuff. We just kind of walking around aimlessly, not knowing what to do because the cards had not spoken to us. So at least we can have a goal or focus in our lives now.
Oh, we got an interesting card. We got the zombie card because I'm pulling from the Halloween deck because we are into spooky season. Wow. That one's kind of a hard one to read into. If I look at that, the one thing about a zombie is, once you're a zombie, you just kind of walk around looking in one direction. You've got one mission in life, and that is brains, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's their goal.
Your goal is like brains. Tunnel vision. You're thinking singular of focus. Thing, that is all you're looking for, right? So I feel like the zombie card is, about control. And I think it's about letting go of trying to control things and not having that tunnel vision of like something that, we all have things we want, but not always having like tunnel vision, being able to see the bigger picture, being able to see, step outside of the box and see alternative, ways to handle things that you're dealing with. I think it's all about, finding your voice and making sure that you're using all of your resources and you're not just looking at things in one way when there could be alternate, ways to get to the path that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, there's more than one way to get to where you're going. Don't be a zombie. There's more than one way to find a brain.
Yep.
Just, there are many options.
Some salmon tuna
out there. Yes, you can get some salmon tuna. And I'll bet that tastes really good. Some smoked salmon tuna. That would be really good. Oh my goodness. So now is a time for us to expand our vocabulary, to learn from the past, bring back some words that have been kind of forgotten, that we don't use anymore. And the word that we're learning today is Skobberlotcher.
Skobberlotcher.
Thank you, Brandy. It is right over. Scobberlotcher. It is not dirty this time.
It's clearly, I feel like it's in reference to a person. It's like it's something that describes a person, a characteristic of a person. Is it a lazy person?
Yes, exactly. If you're a Scobberlotcher, yes, one who never works hard.
Oh. I've worked with a few people like that.
If you're scobbering your lotch or whatever, I wonder how they come up with these words. Like, I wonder if there's like a Latin.
There probably is. It probably like maybe you have to look up like what like the two word like scobber like is that really two words they put together? So you got to figure out what
is scobber and lotcher like is lotcher a word or yeah. You're a bloody Scobberlotcher. We had a Lisa Marie. I work with many like that. See, you should go ahead and call them, like tell them to their face that they're a Scobberlotcher, and they won't know what the hell you're talking about. And they might even say thank you. Oh, that's so nice of you. Well, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Ding. Keep us scobbering your lotch. We had a very long conversation about Bloody Nora last week on the show.
You sent me a message and said she had reared her head again.
Yes, Bloody Nora made a comeback. I told Helena to find out go to where Bloody Nora is and contact her because she's a medium and ask her how she killed that person with a celery stick because we want to know. I think it's through the eye.
We want to know
through the eye socket.
How unalived by a celery stick happens.
Yes. the best. And I asked her if they say it because I heard it the other day on the Grand Tour on Amazon. They're saying Bloody Nora. I'm like, holy shit! It's a real phrase. Now I've got to hear them say Scobberlotcher,
right? Or
any of the other phrases we've used on this show. And I will be a happy man. So tonight we're going away from the ghosts for a little bit. We are talking about. We can talk about ghosts with Dave Spinks too, because he used to own or former owner of Willows Weep. He is a Bigfoot researcher, Bigfoot experiencer, and paranormal investigator. Let's bring Dave on the show. Here we go. Welcome back, brother. How are you?
Hey guys, doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well.
Oh, always fun to talk to you.
Yeah, I also do UFOs. Don't forget that either.
Oh, UFOs too. See,
yeah,
we can do like 3 separate shows just on Bigfoot or cryptids, UFOs, and ghosts. I know you've had a lot of paranormal experiences too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what started me in all this craziness. So some 30 plus years ago now.
So talking about your first experience, what was your first experience with Bigfoot like?
Terrifying. It's really my only experience other than, hearing strange sounds in the woods, other recordings that I've gotten over the years. But that one particular experience really is only I've never seen another one. I mean, I'm not sure if I want to see another one either. But that's really what shaped me into pursuing all this stuff because it literally is a life-changing experience. And when you experience something like that, for a kid, I was only 13 when it happened. It terrified me, but at the same time, I wanted answers, and it took me many years, 6, 7, 8 years before I ever went back in the woods again. And I grew up hunting and fishing, so back in those days, we didn't have the internet or anything, so we were kind of forced to use the local libraries and school libraries and whatever we could find, and then occasionally you would see a show like In Search Of, and I was like, hey, that's what I saw, So it kind of snowballed from there, and it turned into doing everything because for me, doing it for this many years, you notice that some of these things kind of cross over sometimes. When you get certain reports from people and eyewitness accounts, sometimes they seem to cross over in some aspects. So me being in law enforcement in my working life and everything, as an investigator, you have to think outside the box sometimes. Not everything's cut and dry. There's always a gray area. So you want to investigate all aspects of those things. And if you don't do that, you're doing yourself an injustice, because I've investigated cases where people would message me or get a hold of me and say, hey, I'm having like stuff fly around in my house or whatever the case. And then when I get there, they all tell me, well, I'm also having these dreams. I see these little gray beings in my room, and I'm dreaming of floating through my ceiling. So you got, as an investigator, you got to kind of like, you're like, okay, what's really going on here? Is it aliens somehow implanting these images in people's heads and making it feel like it's a ghost or a spirit doing this, or is it actually some sort of extraterrestrial connection going on here? So, you got to just weigh it all out and investigate all sides of it as well. So, and it doesn't always happen that way. I'm saying that's a rare type of case, but, sometimes it does. So, same thing with cryptids, there's a lot of misidentification. People might have saw a bear, for example. People might have saw a bear standing on two legs and say that was a Bigfoot. No, it was a bear. So, but at the same time, I'll get a Bigfoot case or a UFO case, and at the same time, you do a little bit of research and realize there's a whole bunch of reports in the same area of Bigfoot sightings too, or vice versa. So, you just gotta, sometimes you'll have those cases like that. So you just got to look outside the box, looking in, and look at it from different angles to see what's going on.
So we talked to the folks from Odd, Virginia, and one of their hosts had a experience with Bigfoot that really scared them, and it was kind of like what you experienced, where it happened, and then he wanted to go back into the woods for a few years. Could you tell us exactly what happened?
Yeah.
To you to make you? I know you were young, so that's but
yeah,
you
well,
were an outdoorsman when you were not outside a lot when you were a kid, right?
Oh yeah, I grew up in the woods, hunting, fishing with my dad, my grandfathers, both sides of the family lived in the woods a lot, So, but what happened was me and my grandfather were on one of our fishing trips together, a place we had went to many times where we would camp out, here on the Gauley River, and we had caught some fish, and it was getting close, closer to dark. It was in the evening, late evening in the summer. And as we cooked our fish up, ate them, had a great meal, and we're sitting by the fire just hanging out. And out of nowhere, this huge splash hits the water. I mean, a massive splash. Almost, I would equate it to a full-grown size man doing a cannonball on a swim point. The water rained down after whatever hit the water. And we didn't see what hit the water. It was just out in the middle of the river. And the river's pretty wide across that section, probably 50 to 65 yards across. It's good sized rivers, fairly deep in some spots, up to 20 feet deep, So when this splash hit, we both jumped up and we were trying to figure out what in the world was that. So there's no other people around where we hunt and fish at most of the time. And the other side of the river is very vertical and very rocky. Nobody would ever even be over there, because if you would slip and fall, you're dead. I mean, you just, the cliff because of the field. It's a straight up and down vertical drop almost in some places over there. So after several minutes of trying to figure out what caused this splash, we knew there's no way it's a fish that big. I mean, come on. It would have to have been like a killer whale to make a splash that big. So we sat down and we were just kind of scratching our heads. And only way I know to describe this is if you ever heard something fly through the tree limbs, like clipping tree limbs, that's what I heard next. And out of my left peripheral, I saw a rock about that big coming up through the tree limbs from the other side and come down and hitting the water, making another humongous splash just like that. And my grandfather saw it too. And we jumped up again, So in his mind, he immediately yelled out, "You hoodlums, knock it off, or I'm gonna shoot." You know, because he didn't play. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was second wave at Normandy. He was a medic, so you can imagine what he saw and went through over there. He just didn't mess around. And as soon as he got done saying that, you heard the most god awful guttural howling sound. It was so loud and so deep that it sends shivers down my spine to this day. And we're in a canyon, mind you, so it just reverberated all the way down through there. And I was like frozen solid with fear after that sound came out of there. And I looked back to see what he was going to say, and he was gone. And he ran to the tent, and I knew what he was doing. He was getting his 20 gauge that we always carried for snakes. So there's a lot of snakes on the. So I'm just standing there dumbfounded. And as he's running over there to get that and coming back, you see the trees over there just start shaking, like, 40, 50, 60-foot sapling, big, tall, skinny trees just start going crazy. And then the most god-awful screams and howls coming from that side of the river in the woods over there. And we still haven't seen what this thing is yet. And he comes back, and he said, his eyes were massive. Like, I knew that he wasn't really comprehending what was going on, and neither was I. Because I saw fear in his eyes for the first time in my life. So he yells at me and gets to the truck boy. And the truck, we had the truck parked about 20, 30 yards away from us, kind of catty corner. And so I run to the truck, and I get, and at the same time, he starts capping off rounds through there. As fast as he can, his old single shot 20 gauge that he carried. And he's like, boom, unloading and just shooting as fast as he can. At the same time, that thing's just carrying on, raising all kinds of cane, whatever it was. And then as he starts shooting, you can see it moving up and away from us because you can watch the woods move as whatever this thing is moving. And that's when it came out. It went up and away, and it came out in a clearing that leveled off. And that there was really high grass there, but we could see it from the waist up. Very huge humanoid figure covered in brownish hair with black streaks through it. You could see the muscles in it. It was massive. It had huge arms. And its body was so big, its head looked tiny. And my grandfather was a huge man. And it made him look like a tiny little guy, And you could see it at that distance how big it was. It was massive. It never looked back at us, but it was carrying on, just ripping and tearing trees out and stuff. And that's when he came running to me, and he grabs me, but with one arm, opens the driver's side door and slings me through the truck cab. And if the other door would have been open, I would have went completely through the truck cab. That's how hard he chucked me in there. And he jumped in the truck and he said, "That's not of God, son. We're getting out of here." Now, my grandfather was a Baptist minister for 40 years after the war. So he fires the truck up and we get out of there. And it's like I don't even know, 3 to 5 mile ride on an old, really rough logging road to get down in where we would go to this place. And I mean, that truck's just bottoming out. And I had my hands in my head in my hands crying because I was like, we're going to die. The truck's going to break and the thing's going to come and kill us. I was scared to death. And he's bottoming out. Sounds like pieces of the truck are falling off. And then we finally get to the hard road and he drives around for like 15 minutes or so. He doesn't say a word. And then he pulls off and he said, "Son, we better not tell nobody about this because they're going to think we're crazy." We left everything there, our tent, all of our fishing stuff. And I guess he sent my uncle back to get it that night or the next day. But and so we made like a promise, a pinky swear not to tell anybody. And I found out many, many years later after he died, he told my uncle about it because when I decided to tell that story on Terror in the Woods, because I'd already written it in my book. And I called my uncle because that was the last one that's alive. And I said, "Hey, this is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to tell what happened to me and Papa in the woods." And he goes, "Oh, that one, when you and him saw that monkey man?" And I said, I said, he told you? And he said, yeah, a long time ago. Like, he said, like 25 years ago. And I was like, man, I kept that quiet all these years, because, and I wouldn't want to break my promise to my papa.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he said, well, he told me about that. And he said, I just want someone else to know in case I die, that if so Dave will be validated, basically, if that ever happens. So that's what went down.
Corroborate what you're saying.
I was mad, but it was funny at the same time. I was like, here, I kept that secret all these years.
I bet that was hard too, because I know you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, and everybody used to ask me when I first was going public with this stuff, and what started you? So I'd tell them about this other paranormal experience I had, but it was really Bigfoot that really started me from there. So,
man, were there ever
imagine?
Yeah, man. Had anybody ever talked about seeing things in the woods or like?
Oh, the old timers around here would we thought they were teasing us, right? They would say, stay out in the woods after dark because then wood boogers will get you. That's how they talk around here, And we're like, yeah, they're just messing with us, trying to scare us. But it turns out, no, they're not, But you would hear stories about the wood boogers and the blue devils, and it's all the same creature, just different names. In West Virginia, Bigfoot has pretty much every county has a different name for a Bigfoot, So, but it's essentially the same type of creature.
So, do you now actually go out on excursions in the woods looking for Bigfoot?
Oh yeah, I have been doing it for over 30 years.
So, what got you? How did you get yourself ready to go back and do that? I mean, I know you said for 8 or 9 years you didn't want to go in the woods, but that's a huge thing to overcome to get yourself ready to go back.
All my friends, as you get older, they're all going out to the woods, partying and camping and everything, and so I started going back with them with a large group of people, right? And so I got my courage back, and then of course you get older, and then I went to military and stuff, so my whole mindset changed when it comes to that. But it was a terrifying experience, and I really had almost like a PTSD from it when I was younger. I would have nightmares about it because the sound that thing made was so powerful. And when you saw it, you knew it could stomp on a man like it crush you like a tin can. I mean, this thing was massive, and it was not happy for whatever reason. I don't know why, but because we've hunted and fished there, that area my whole life, So kind of when I got older, I was like, I'm going back there to overcome this, and I did. And I've taken excursions out in the Monongahela National Forest. That's hundreds and thousands of square miles of nothing, where I used to hike out for 7 days by myself and spend, a whole week in there, and got some of the craziest recordings you can think of, and had some of them even sent off to get analyzed by voice and vocal experts, and they came back as not known to any known creature, So you go out and that was especially in my younger days when I was in really good shape, But now I still go out, but not that intense into it. I'll go out and usually I'll take a 4-wheeler or something in, and I use thermal and different things and spend a few days in the woods, as much as my body can take it anymore these days.
Yeah, but, I know that is.
Yeah, so military and law enforcement took a pretty heavy toll on me physically. So, but back in the day, it wasn't nothing to go spend a week 20 miles deep in the middle of nowhere, and hike in on the backpack and hike out. So, it's some really crazy things out there we just don't understand. And, the natives talk about it. That's one of my favorite go-to people is natives, because they've talked about these creatures for thousands and thousands of years. And you can find rock art and cave art that proves that, So it's fascinating stuff.
So in your opinion, what do you think Bigfoot is?
I would not even attempt to know, because there are no experts in any of this stuff. I don't care what people say. Some people are on that it's just an unscientifically documented humanoid being, or it's the missing link between man and ape. Nobody knows for sure because apparently we don't have any bodies that we know of. Now, other people say the government does have bodies, but we'll never know that. Some people think it's an extraterrestrial. Some people think it's an interdimensional being or extra-dimensional. Or some people think it could be a ghost of a long dead extinct ape species, as well. So there's really all these different ways you can go down the rabbit hole with this thing until we actually have a body or more physical evidence of these things. We'll never know, really. I know what I saw was it was there and it was real and it was interacting with the foliage and the trees and putting out a sound that I'll never forget in my entire life as long as I live. So that's the only way I can describe it. Life-changing event. I don't know what it was. I know what it looked like. I can describe it, but what it was for sure, I don't know. But we talk about these creatures, like a good example would be the Kraken, right? So we see all these ancient captain's logbooks that talk about these giant octopus or squids, and they called it the Kraken, and everyone was, oh, that's a myth, that's a myth, that's a myth. But guess what? Was it 2015 or 16, the Japanese fishermen, they caught a 65-foot long giant squid in one of their nets? So the Kraken is real. I mean, there's real species being discovered almost weekly on this planet, if not more than that. Not so much giant monsters like that, but new species of creatures, undocumented species. They found 2017, they found a brand new, never before known about species of orangutan in Sumatra right under everybody's nose. So, you can look up, there's tons of them. You can look them up and find out, oh, wow, look at all these new species just discovered in the last month or two. It's in the ocean, that's a whole nother ballgame, So there's things out there that, and if a creature like Bigfoot, is primarily nocturnal, as everybody thinks or says, most humans sleep at night. So they're not out in the woods tromping around, seeing these things. Most of the time, it's a fleeting glimpse of something large and hairy ran across the road in front of me when I was driving at night or whatever the case. So there's other documented incidents of people hiking or fishing that have had large pieces of log thrown at them. And other people have recorded rocks being thrown at them as well. So I think that, to me, when I analyzed it as I got older, it felt like it was like, hey, you're in my area type of thing, get out of here, or something to that effect. I don't know. But I think if it really wanted to come after us, it would have, and we would have been in kind of a bit of trouble. But
yeah.
It was more like when the guerrillas make a mock charge at someone, like, hey, This is my, get out of here. So, it's just that's just how I feel my experience was, and I think that was kind of a warning type of thing. Get out of here, or something at this particular moment. So we caught a bunch of fish. We're eating like kings. It was a great time until that happened.
He ruined your fishing place. Now he's like, I'm not going back there again.
Yeah, he ruined several years of them after that for me.
Oh. So you have these people who go out and they want to find Bigfoot. They're looking for them. What advice would you give someone who wants to try to find them?
Well, it's like anything else. It's like doing a paranormal investigation. It's like doing a UFO investigation with different aspects, of course. I wouldn't recommend doing it alone. You go with people that have done it for many years, that have experience, some sort of experience level in it. And you should have knowledge of the woods because, I think the deeper you go and the farther away from human civilization you go, the better chance you may have to have an experience. Just because, and we don't know how many of these creatures are even out there. I would say there's very few of them, and they're very nomadic. I would say, from what I've gathered over the years, because there's been tracks documented many states away that match up with other tracks people have cast over the years. You know, Meldrum and those guys are very good at trying to put those together. You know, and they've matched up some tracks, and Cliff Brockman and all them guys are really heavy into that stuff, and they've actually matched up tracks that have been found several states away from each other. So what these things are, I wouldn't attempt to tell you, you know, because that would to me, that's just lying, because I'm no expert in any of this. Nobody is. I just have experience level, you know. That's it. You'll never catch me saying, well, I'm an expert in this and that. No, I'm not. Nobody's an expert in the paranormal.
That's right.
You know, if we were, we'd have most of the answers. Some of the greatest questions of man, you know, unanswered questions of man. So,
have you run into anything else in your excursions that maybe came up, or you noticed when you were out in the woods that was something other than Bigfoot, but you're not quite sure what it was or what you encountered?
Well, me and Weatherly were on a investigation up in. We did a week-long, more than a week in Point Pleasant one time. I've investigated up there off and on for over 20, 25 years. And we found a deer carcass like I've never seen before. And when I was going back to the car to get cameras to document that, I saw what I can only describe as like a Texas chupacabra in West Virginia. And it was just like the one that Ken Gerhardt did that show, and that lady had found it on her property that was hit by a car. It looked exactly like that. The way it walked, its lope, and its general visual, you know, look to it looked just like that. It was really creepy. And we jumped in the car and went after this thing, because I had it on a GoPro in my car. Whenever I'm investigating, I leave a GoPro running the whole time in my car just in case. And it paid off that time. Even though it was pretty far down the road over in the TNT bunker area, we were able to capture it on camera. And then, of course, it went off into the woods and we lost it. But just, you know, other than that, I mean, I've investigated, you name it. I was a lizard man, and on the Ohio River, I've investigated many cryptids over the years. The frogman in Ohio, dogman, of course. I actually wrote the newest book I have out is called The West Virginia Dogman. And we're not even known for the dogman that much here in West Virginia, but there were enough sightings and enough times I was called out to investigate a dogman sighting. And then what happened here in the 1940s, along with the hellhounds and black dog myths and lore and legends of West Virginia, I did a book on this all. So, you know, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, when you have prosecuting attorneys calling and say, hey, me and my son were coming back from Foreland and it was dark, and we saw a 8-foot tall, only thing I know to call it, a werewolf stand up in front of us behind this old boat that was out in the woods. Well, you got to go check that out. Because here's the problem. You know, this guy has no reason to make up something like that. So
it had like with your grandfather, when you were younger, he was afraid of, you know, ruining his reputation as a preacher. I'm sure the prosecuting attorney wouldn't make up a story about a dog man,
right?
If he wants, you know, people to take him seriously in the courtroom.
And that's another thing with me. You know, when I was in law enforcement, I didn't go public with what I did all these years until after I retired. So once I decided to retire, with, you know, I've been working with a lot of friends like John Jaffis and shit from, you know, sorry for doing this for many years, and him and Rosemary were like, you got so much stuff that you got to start putting that in the book. And I'm like, I'm not a writer, you know. I wouldn't know the first thing about writing a book, and Rosemary was funny because she'd be like, well, that's why they make editors, Dave. And I'm like, all right, well, I said, I'll try one, and I wrote the West Virginia Bigfoot book, and it went really good, and people loved it, and they still love it. And so I started putting all my cases into books, and it's really, really taken off for me. Never thought I would write a book, and I did. So I wrote several now. Got 9 out, and many more slated that I'm working on right now.
Sometimes all it takes is to get started on the first one, and
then
it just kind of goes from there.
You know, with me, it's not like, you know, I'm writing books based off of my investigations and interviews boots on the ground stuff I've done. I don't sit at home on the computer and research stuff and write a book about it. That's not me. I've been doing this stuff for well over 30 years, and I'd say 97% of what I've done is on video. So I can bring up the video and I can write my books off of that, So which is a really nice thing to have, because I can go back and say, okay, I'm going to do a book on this, and then go back and reference my videos of me interviewing people, or audio recordings interviewing people and whatnot. So
you don't have to rely on memory, but your experience with Bigfoot when you were so young, it was so smart. You know all the details.
Oh, yeah, because that was life changing, So that's what I'm saying. I mean, wanting more answers over the years and going out. And really what the funny part is, what really got me fired up about actually trying to do this myself was, my stepdad was in the Air Force, and I grew up on Air Force bases. So we would always do these family vacations to some really cool spots, because it was out west. I'm from West Virginia, but we were stationed out there. And I saw an episode of In Search Of, and Hans Holzer was on there. And he had a tape recorder on this haunting case, exactly like the one I had just got for Christmas. And he was showing how to do EVP work, right? So I was like, hey, I can do that. I got that same recorder. So we went to Mesa Verde in Colorado on this family trip. And I took my recorder out there. And it was during the week, so it was really cool. There was no other people there. It was kind of in the late fall, early winter, so it was pretty chilly. And there was nobody out there. We didn't even see a park ranger. And we were running around all the ruins and stuff. And I said, I'm going to try to do EVP here and see what happens. So I kid you not, I was asking questions. And when I played it back, I got Native American drumming and Native American chanting. And I was just like, what? And then my mom freaked out because I played it back for her. It was clear as a bell. And she's like, oh my God, you're freaking me out. So don't be doing that no more. And so I was immediately hooked on that. I mean, immediately hooked on doing that type of work. And I thought it was fascinating. How in the heck did I record something that wasn't there, And if you ever knew about Mesa Verde and the Anasazi people, they still don't know what happened to that whole tribe of people. They just disappeared off the planet. So, pretty interesting stuff. And I was able to grow up out west, but come back home to visit and be with my family here. So I was kind of privy to being all over the country, doing this stuff back and forth when I first started. And then when I was in the military, I was stationed in Italy, but I was sent all over the world too. So I was able to I've actually done EVP work in the Colosseum in Rome, and walk the streets of Venice and do EVP work. And I investigated a monastery that was dating back to the 1500s in Italy, and a cotton gin and a mill and everything. Really old stuff, So it's really fascinating. And when you get some stuff, I got EVPs in Italian and Latin over there, and everything else is really fascinating stuff.
What is one of the EVPs that you've captured that was like the most like memorable to you, or the one you feel like was like the best one you've ever gotten?
Well, they're all awesome. I think when you get a really good one, they're just all awesome. But one of the ones that really freaked me out was me and Weatherly again, where we were actually in St. Augustine, and we went and we had talked to some people, and there's a British bar on the other side of the Lion's Head Bridge, and on top of that bar there's an apartment, and they reported to us that apartment's super really negatively haunted. So I was like, we need to check that out. So we made some phone calls, got the right person, and they said, yeah, y'all can go over there and check it out. So they let teams go in there and investigate it, right? So we go over there, and it's just a really, just imagine a long, skinny barn, and on top it's a long, skinny apartment. It's got a living room, little tiny kitchen right here, then a bedroom, and a bedroom in the back. That's it. And we went to the back bedroom first, because that's where some pictures that we were shown were pretty compelling stuff, with these almost demonic looking spirits behind one of the teams that was investigating it on multiple places in this apartment, not just in one room, but it was in multiple different locations in the apartment. So we go back there, and filming me doing an EVP session with the SLS camera. And as we're doing that, he said, "Oh, there's a stick figure just manifested right beside you, and it's punching you in the head." Of course, I'm not feeling anything, right? And I'm like, it's like, this is crazy. Like, that thing's beating the hell out of you. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So we go on, and I like to do burst sessions where I do like a series of 3 questions and play it back. Right? Didn't get anything on that one, on the first couple. And then I did one more. And then he said, let's switch to the middle room. And I said, okay. And I didn't play the last one back yet. I said, we went over to the middle room. And then I hit playback. We're setting up this table. And as soon as I hit play, something like the worst, horrible, like scream came out of that thing. It was so loud that I threw the recorder in the air. And he flipped back. We were like, what in the hell? So it kind of made sense because I did the EVP session when the thing was punching me in the head, whatever this thing was, when it manifested as a stick figure. Now, everything, I don't buy into all paranormal equipment, but when you have 2 things happen like that with 2 pieces of equipment, it's pretty compelling, right?
Yeah.
So, I was like, whoa, man, that's whatever that was pissed, and it did not like me for some reason. Because when we hit play on that thing, I mean, it was the most god-awful growl, scream you could imagine, and it was so loud. It scared the living crap out of both of us. I threw the recorder in the air. That's how loud it came across the recorder. Just a regular digital recorder. And that was one really crazy one. But I've got, over these many years, I've got just hundreds of really great EVPs. People's name, full first and last name, you name it. My first and last name. They said it on there. I say, tell me what my name is, and they tell Dave Spinks. I'm like, what? And, just all kinds of them.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good EVP.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when
exciting.
That's the best, for me personally, that's the best paranormal evidence at this point one can get, besides, you filming a spirit come and sit down and have a conversation with you, or a good shadow figure or spirit video capture, which I've got a few of those over the years that were, especially at the Weep. There's a shadow figure we talked there about pure happenstance. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You can see it on my YouTube channel. It's broad daylight, nobody in the house. We got the GoPro on top of the door by accident, and everybody was in the back building behind the house packing up the trucks ready to leave. And the funny thing is, like, the guys that I had filmed, we were doing a little documentary there, and the guy I had filming it wasn't even a paranormal guy. He's just a camera guy, he's a filmmaker. So he's like, oh, Dave, I forgot my GoPro in there, because he was put it up there for a different angle when we were filming in there. He goes, and I said, okay, and I threw him the keys to the house. He went in, grabbed it, locked the door, and we left. A month later, he calls me freaking out. Says, dude, did you check your email yet? He goes, I sent you something. He goes, and I'm never going in that effing house again. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, just check your email. So I bring it up, and it's a video clip of this freaking perfect shadow figure in broad daylight walking through the house. But the cool thing is, before you see the shadow figure, you see another one, this weird shadow activity on the ceiling, and you hear a big thump, bang, and dragging sound. Then you see it walk right through this room. And it's pretty compelling stuff from head to toe. And the room it's in with the Weep, if you've ever seen the Weep, those corner rooms that were put in the house many, many years later as these like little closet storage spaces, they all had windows all the way around them. So if it would have been anyone outside the house, it wouldn't have been a full-blown shadow figure. It would have been cut off at the waist or near the waist, because it would have been a shadow from outside, right? What it is, it's from head to toe, and it walks right just like a person. It's freaky. And then whatever it is, it kind of morphs into something else, changes shape, and comes out of that room with a white mist and a shadow, like a smokiness behind it. So, when you see stuff like that, to me, that makes it all worth it. And you have those psychic experiences, those empathic experiences, when you can feel the energy of a place, and you can feel if it's happy, mad, sad, bad, whatever. Doing this for so many years, that's really, I think I've developed a even more sense of being able to utilize that aspect to it, but not as much as just other people. Some other people are very gifted when it comes to that, you know. But when you know, there's nothing like it when you can walk into a place and the hair on your arms and neck just goes wham and stands straight up, and you're like, oh, this don't feel too good, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's all fascinating to me. I love it. I have a passion for it. A lot of people don't know, but you know, I've had TV contracts in my hand that I tore up because they want you to fake stuff, and I will not do that.
Yeah.
I had my own show a couple of times in the past years, and I was like, you read that fine print, and it says if you don't find anything, you may have to manufacture evidence. And I'm like, change that sentence, and we'll do this. And they're like, no, you can't do it. So Hollywood doesn't care about the real paranormal. It's all about entertainment to them. And I found out that the hard way when I did that very first Bigfoot episode. I was totally naive to TV. And when I saw the show come out just like everybody else out there did, I had no clue how they were going to present it, and I was not happy because they added things that didn't happen. They act like we spent the night. We did not spend the night. We got out of Dodge. They just messed up the order of things a little bit. And it was just, I mean, overall, they did a fairly good job with the story. But when you add stuff in there that didn't happen, that's faking it to me, and I don't do that, you know. So I spoke, that show come out, I told everybody because my reputation's everything. And I say, remember that part and that part? And people are like, yeah. So I always ask, who saw that show? And they raise their hand. And I say, remember that part and that part? And they're like, yeah. And I say, that never happened. They're like, what? Because the general public doesn't understand that these Hollywood people, man, they don't care about the real stuff. Once you sign that contract with them, they can take your story and do anything they want with it, and you don't have a choice. And I was very naive to that, and that's why I tell people, don't believe everything you see on these paranormal shows, because 98% of it's probably BS. You know what I mean? And there's people, most of the people in these shows, not all of them, there's some really good investigators that are real deal out there, but a lot of them are nothing but actors, you know, unfortunately. So
that's a shame too, but
it's a double-edged sword for the paranormal because it's good because it gets it out there more and it became pop culture because of TV. But on the flip side, it's really bad because the general public doesn't understand that Hollywood doesn't care about the real paranormal; they care about entertainment, and it hurts the field overall. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't care about your reputation; they just care about the ratings.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I will tell you, you know, I got to be on Ghost Nation with Jason, and that was my case. You know, a lot of time I was a case I'd worked on for 2 years, and you know, I get calls from production companies all the time and say, "Hey, you got any cool locations for us?" And I was working with this one producer, and she goes, "Hey, Dave, you want to be on Ghost Nation with Jason and them guys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'd like to see how they do stuff, you know, in person." And it all worked out, and I was on the show, and I was there the whole time with them. I'll tell you 100%. They do it by the book, and I was very pleased with that. And they were very down to earth, good guys, and they did it by the book. So you know, it was great working with them. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the shows, you can tell that they overreact to things and they make it more for entertainment. Watching Ghost Hunters and Ghost Nation, and you can tell that they take it a little more seriously.
Oh,
they
definitely.
want to get good ratings. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the way they approach it. It's not as dramatic as some people can be on their investigations.
One of my favorite parts of that show too was, you know, they don't really like to use ghost boxes at all. They don't buy them. They don't buy into them. They don't like them. Well, they actually validated a piece of evidence I got on a ghost box there with factual information. And they're like,
that's cool.
And they were like, well, Dave kind of got lucky on this one. I'm like, I was giving Jason, I was like, I don't think he's lucky. I'm telling you, spirits can use these things, man. I said, I've got my first and last name coming across the ghost box many, many times. That's not radio bleed over, brother. You know, it's just a lot of review. You have to review those things. You know? Yeah, they validated it. It was really cool, you know, and, you know, I think it opened their eyes up a little bit more to some stuff. So
I love the ghost box.
Me too.
Oh, I love it, man. I've got some phenomenal full-blown sentences that were backed up with factual information. I've had them cuss me, saying, say things that they can't say on the radio because they'll get fined or get shut down, you know. So
I got my, it said my, then it said the N word on on the spirit box in the rancher. Clear as day. And there's no way that would come over the radio.
Right.
Yeah. No,
it would be
not at all.
yeah. No, it
So,
would be cut. It would be gone.
Take that into account, definitely. You know, when it's saying "F you, mother ever," I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You know, what? You're not saying that on the radio.
What radio station you're listening to, but
I mean, stuff like that. Yeah. So, you know, and I got a particular name, and they did some extra research and found out, yeah, the guy was killed with a knife, and his name was this that I got on the ghost box. So it's pretty compelling. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure we could do a whole show talking about the Weep earlier. We could do a whole show just on that house.
Oh yeah, man, the Weep. I'm working on book 2 of the Weep. Currently, there's a big movie in the works with it, so hopefully that all goes down, and we'll see what happens. You know, but it was supposed to be get done by a major production company out of Hollywood, but I put the nix on that, and I'm going with an independent filmmaker.
Oh, nice.
He's gonna make a horror movie out of it, Conjuring-esque. And these people wanted to do he wants to do like a whole it's gonna be a whole movie series based off of
nice.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
We're also me and Jen are in a new movie called A Haunting We Will Go with Christopher Garantano, who did Dark Files and Strange World on travel, and so that's going to be really cool the way he's doing this. It's all real deal stuff, man, and it's the way he shot it is amazing. I can't wait to share that with everybody. And that'll be on it's gonna be on all the major streaming platforms: Discovery UK, Discovery Canada, Italy, and some other network up in Canada at first, and then I'm sure it'll move over to whatever on in the US as well as all the streaming platforms. So I had a really cool experience in that kind of flipped me on my lid, so to speak, but I don't want to share it till it comes out in the movie because I'll just say it was more of a psychic experience, you know, get my and then how it went down was like what, and then it's just bam, bam, bam. I don't even want to spill the beans because it's so cool and so different for me to have an experience like that. It blew my mind, really. So that should be. Now he's down there in that freaking hurricane, and he didn't leave, and he's in the major flood zone. I'm like, dude, you gotta bug out, man. And so I'm scared to death for him down there right now. But we're doing we have one more segment to film on that, and it's almost done already. So it'll be out, I would say, anytime from mid to late November to say early February this year. It'll be all everything, and it's a really cool experience.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And that's the kind of guy I'm going to be working with from now on, because I want to show the real everything. I don't want them taking my story and my experience and messing it up, man. And I've done several, over the years that they just, like when we filmed the Willows Weep for Unexplained, they only showed just a short bit, and we had some amazing, crazy stuff happen during filming of that episode of Unexplained with William Shatner. We had stuff fly across the room. They didn't even put that in there. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you people doing here? And the sound dude, he got so scared because of the EVP, the disembodied voices he was hearing on his high-tech sound equipment. He ran out of the house and refused to come back in. I mean, we had some phenomenal stuff happen during that filming of that, and he just, they really screwed the pooch on that episode. But at least I got the house more exposed, and we kind of told a little bit of the story there, but not much. 20 minutes, you can't tell the Weep story, and you could tell the Weep story maybe in 3 full-blown documentaries, 2 hours apiece. But
you already said you're working on your second book.
Yeah. Well, we filmed. I went back right before I tore it down on my birthday this year, and because it's a super negative evil place, man. And I had it shut down since before COVID because my good friend Barry Gaunt that runs Octagon Hall got attacked in there, and something scratched his foot in his boot, and he ended up losing part of his foot because of it.
What?
Yeah. And after that, I was like, that's it, man. I'm shutting it down. And I've been accused, you're just making money off this. Well, if I was making money, I'm about to make money, why did I shut a money-making machine down before COVID? And I never opened it back to the public. And then when I tore it down, it cost me $8,000. So I'm all about making money. Yeah, right. Okay. But no, I'm there to study the paranormal. That's why I ended up buying the week to have my own paranormal lab, man. But I will tell you some fun, good news, new news, if you want to hear it.
Of course.
So me and Jen have purchased a new haunted location, and it's not open yet. Never been investigated before. It's called the Shantytown Spirit Shack here in West Virginia. Got 3 deaths in it, suicide in it. I've seen the guy in there walking around a couple of times, and it's brand new. So we're going to be opening that up to teams here. And, if you ever knew about the Weep, I didn't charge a lot of money like some of these places. A team can come in and you get it for 12 hours, guys, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. You stay all night long. And we're going to be doing some experiments with every team that wants to be involved in this paranormal project I'm doing there. We're going to write a book or 2 about it. We're going to compare notes with other teams that may have been there 6 months prior to this team, see if anything can match up. What did this team get versus this team? And they were there 6 months apart. And then I'm going to have a live channel with paranormal equipment in there 24/7 for the most part when there's no human interaction to see if we can capture anything on camera and if any equipment goes off when there's no people involved as well. So, and we're going to do a docu-series on it too. So, and I'm trying to show people you do not need a grand mansion to have a haunted location. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And with Hollywood, it's all about the aesthetics, and it's got to be this grand asylum or prison
or something like that.
Right? Yeah, I think I'm telling people you can have a little shack and you can have a haunting in that thing. It doesn't have to be this grandiose mansion or asylum or whatever it is. Also, the land where the house is, it was back in the day, this long strip, and the lumberjacks and the miners, they called it Shantytown because all these poor people, like miners and stuff, had these little tiny shacks. They just, build things to make a shack to live in while they were doing coal mining and lumberjacking. And the train tracks were right there behind them, and where the house is today. And there's a really good story about this murdered prostitute that was killed right there on the train tracks. People report seeing her ghost all the time. There's a huge smokestack and cannery right beside it. At one time, a guy fell to his death off the smokestack. People talk about seeing him walking around in his overalls and different things. And then you had all the murders, robbers, and stuff from the shantytown. I'm talking 1800s here, and there were shootouts and everything else, robberies, rapes, murders, you name it. A bunch of really bad stuff. So you've got a really good little area here that we can do that. And there's 3 deaths in the house, and the last guy lived in it killed himself. So, you got some bad PG energy in that house. And we're going to study it and see what we can get there and have other teams come and be a part of this if so choose.
That's cool.
It's awesome being able to do investigations in a controlled environment like that, and being able to to compare notes with other investigators throughout the year to see
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we've got to do to kind of maybe push the field forward a little bit, and try to do different experiments like this and just see what other teams get versus other teams, and if some of it matches up or if a bunch of it matches up. You never know, right? So the cool thing about this house is, guess what? The whole house is a giant trigger object because all of his stuff is still in it. The last guy that lived in.
Oh, well, there you go. That's awesome.
Trigger. And I'm not changing anything about it. So, you know, where do you get that opportunity? Not very often, you know, where all the last person that died in there stuff's still in there. So
nice.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I can't wait to see what you get from there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to have the. I just got the internet put in, so I'm going to be figuring out which way I'm going to do the. It's either going to be on Patreon, the live feed 24/7 when I'm not in there, and I'll be doing some live stuff in there too. And me and Jen will be doing live stuff together in there sometimes. And then people can jump on, and if they see something at a certain time, they can document it. Hey, at 12:31, I saw this go across the camera, and they can send it to me. I can go back and check it, and it'll be like almost like a community effort to see what we can document.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
yeah, get people involved, and
yeah.
they'll be like, yeah, and they'll be excited when they get stuff.
A lot of people, when I did a lot of stuff on YouTube back in my early times, that's how I kind of made my name, and I think I was the second guy to ever live stream paranormal investigations when I had my old channel that got taken down. But people that don't have a lot of money and can't travel, and they love this stuff and they want to be involved, that's a good way for them to get involved with hardly no money at all. $5 or something, will be a subscription or something like that. Because I'm gonna wire the place with a lot of cameras and everything, so they can, and it'll be a live feed, and they can watch all the different camera feeds, so, and just have fun with it and see what happens. So
yeah, I like that idea.
And I was gonna do that with the Weep, but the Weep was so old and stuff, and I had already what I did was with the Weep was I pulled all the electric out of that house. That way, I knew if we got EMF hits and stuff, they were legit. They weren't. There wasn't no over going on or anything like that. So this one will be a little bit different because I'm gonna have some live feed action going on in there and try some different things. But we'll have internet in there for teams, and if they want to live stream it and stuff, they can do that and just go crazy with it.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing that at the cabin, actually putting cameras up and have people, and just so, because so much happens there. We put wise cameras up, and during the summer we did a little project where we put wise cameras up for a couple of nights, and we'd watch back, and there's a lot of stuff that happened overnight. Not so much in the rancher, which was weird, but in the cabin, it was super active. Like we heard voices, the camera would move by itself. And we started thinking, like, if we had cameras up all the time,
right? Yeah,
stuff we would actually capture.
Yeah, and that's a good idea because these houses, these locations, they seem to act differently when there's no human energy involved. So stuff, it may show that there's some sort of intelligence with a lot of these spirits, or energies, and maybe they don't want to show themselves when people are there, but when people aren't there, they just act normally and freely and do whatever they want. So, pretty interesting. It's another way to look at it,
Yeah.
I mean, learning things from different perspectives. And, like you said, being able to, get other teams' perspectives too, other people's perspectives that are watching the cameras.
Right. Yeah, just get feedback, and then the more feedback you have and the more experiences people have and they report them, the better a project it's going to be, really.
Yeah.
And because I can write about it in the books, and we can share accounts, and every team that wants to participate in the actual project, you don't have to, but I'm going to give every team that wants to be a part, they're going to have a specific form, and at certain times during the investigation, they're going to try the same experiment everybody else has tried. And then we can go back and we got, the same time, this date and time, and try this. And then we'll go down the line with every single team that did it and see, okay, did anything match up? What did this team get? What did this team get? So on and so forth. So, and it just, if they take, just say 1 hour of their time out of their investigation and do that, it'd be really cool. And then they can do whatever they want, you know, if they're participating after that or before that or whatever. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially when you're starting to look at, like, is it intelligent or is it residual? If you're seeing something at the same time, every time happening the same thing, you're kind of like, interesting.
Yeah, you know, whether it's an EVP testing or whatever I decide to do, it'll be interesting to see how many teams get the same thing or whatever happens.
Yeah, I like it.
It'd be like what happens if you in the summertime compared to the wintertime, spring, fall, you know,
rainy days versus non-rainy days, like the whole
full moon versus not a full moon, you know, or what. So, and you know, I would intentionally set some things up for full moon versus non-full moon, you know. So just to see if there's a difference, you know, why not?
All right, this is kind of a moral question. Well, maybe not moral question. If you got to go to a house and you like the house, your place you're working on, and and you set up a recorder, right? And you I guess use provocations on the recorder, leave it in there, but you're not provoking them yourself, and see what kind of stuff you get. You know, kind of EVPs, and then next day or a week later, set up a recorder and just do a whole bunch of nice complimentary things and see what kind of stuff you get. Is that crossing a line, you think? Or
I guess it would depend on each location and who you're provoke or trying to provoke. Like I wouldn't never do that, like say in an orphanage or something.
No,
like
no, yeah,
if it's
kids,
if it's,
no,
if
not
it's
like that. Yeah.
If it's a prison or something like that, maybe, you know, depending. But yeah, I mean, it's an experiment. You can just you know.
Some people are so against it. I mean, I understand it, like doing it yourself, but because you don't want people to follow you home, but if it's a recorded voice, I guess it's your voice still, but you're not in the area. It's just
I would say maybe the style of provoking you're doing. Say, okay, let's just throw a hypothetical situation out there. Say if so take the cabin where the guy or the sister where the guy murdered the girl, his sister or whatever, right? So say you know he did it, and you're challenging his spirit. Say, I know you effing killed her, you and this and that. Versus, well, do it like maybe a cop would do it. I'm pretty sure we know you did this for this woman. You know, it depends on your style, you know, of provoking, I would guess. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I would leave that up to each individual because that's an opinion, you know, really. If you're doing it to try to elicit a response in an experimental environment, I mean, for me personally, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, but I wouldn't do.
Thought about that. A second ago.
I would maybe do it and then see if you got any results or whatever, versus not getting results and then go with it like that. But and also I would be very clear, like when I did do it, to say this is an experiment. You know, we're just trying to see if we can elicit a response or not. And you know, I mean, if you let people know what you're doing ahead, and everybody has an opinion on this stuff, and you know the old saying about opinions, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there are no experts, and nobody's better than anyone else when you do this stuff, and that's the straight up truth. And anyone that thinks they are better than anyone else, they don't even be doing it. So, you know, there's no set way of doing any of this stuff. You know, a lot of people rag on people that are provoking, but for me, it depends where you're at when you're provoking and how you're doing the actual provoking. You know, there's so many different scenarios. Like I said, I wouldn't go into an orphanage where kids were murdered or something and try to provoke or scare a possible child spirit by provoking them somehow or downing them or whatever. But if it's it just depends on the situation. You know.
Yeah. Read the room type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, you could do it the opposite way too, and there's possible, you know, say you're in an orphanage and the children were murdered or whatever, and there's people that report children's spirits in there, you know, you go in there and talk nice to them and see if you get a response. You know, do both ways. Because, you know, that trauma that those kids experience is probably horrendous. And if you're going to go in there provoking that situation, you're probably not going to get anything. And if you do get something, it may be very bad and it may lash out at you. So you got to be very careful too when doing this stuff. You know, I've been some pretty crazy attacks on me, and I wasn't even provoking. You know, now back in the day, when I was in certain locations, if I was using a ghost box and I'm getting something that's threatening me on there, guess what? I'm going to give it right back to them. You know, like in a prison, that's happened to me numerous times, or a jail, an old jail, because I'd go in with my badge and I would provoke with that without even saying anything. I said, hey, new sheriff in town, I'm running the show now, something like that. You know, that's really provoking.
A response.
Right.
So,
you know,
so you can have different provoking techniques, so to speak, versus going in there and just berating somebody or a spirit, you know.
Well, this has been a fun conversation.
Yes.
Like I said, we could have you back on to talk about the paranormal, because I don't think we really got too far into the weep, Willows Weep. And I know I definitely want to talk to you about that, and we talk about UFOs.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Anytime, just guys. I think I got 5 podcasts in this week alone. So but yeah, I mean, this is Halloween time, so you know, I always slammed on these. But it's fun. I love talking about it and hearing other people's perspectives and whatnot, and that's what it's all about. You know, sharing ideas and experiences and whatnot when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you to get this next experiment up and going so I can tune in and watch.
Well, we already have a couple dates open this month for teams and anyone that wants to come individually with me and Jen. We're calling it Extreme Halloween. Me and Jen are doing what we call ethereal excursions now. We've been doing it for 2 years, and this year we gave it a name called Ethereal Excursions. We were already doing it, we just gave it a name, and we've done the Hoover House and so many other places where people come with us. She takes them through, does a psychic read, and then they investigate with me, and then they have free time, and they love it. We have a blast doing it. So, you know, now we've got a new location here, and, you know, we want people to come and be a part of that with us. And we're adding a lot of metaphysical stuff to this house, too. So she's going to be having metaphysical people there doing what they do, and it's going to be pretty cool, I think, and putting that all together. Because, you know, metaphysical, paranormal, they really mesh together big time. It's all part of each other, and not even really many shows do that, you know. So I think there needs to be more of that. There needs to be healing and more compassion for spirits and the people and the experiencers themselves and the locations, you know, because some of the trauma and horrible things that happen in these locations, you know, they really need some healing and stuff. And I know people are scared to have their locations so-called healed because they don't want the activity to go away. But, you know, I did that with the Weep after a 7-year paranormal project at the Weep. You know, at the end, I was like, that's it. That's it. You know, we got to shut this down. It's letting too much bad energy in the world. And that's what I did with it. And I think as a location owner, people need to be a lot more responsible when it comes to some of this stuff because, look what happened to me at the 360 that one time. Something slammed me in the stomach so hard I thought I was going to throw up. And it was pretty wicked there that one time. Yeah.
I mean, it's only gotten worse.
I wasn't doing anything. Wasn't provoking or anything. Yeah. It was
exactly.
Something wanted to let me know that it was there and it was not too happy. I was there for some reason. I don't know. Or it was trying to get my attention or something. I don't know. But it was pretty off the chain.
Yeah, it is definitely. And
Jen says some people that get attacked, you know, and a couple other mediums have told me that when you get attacked more than once or twice during your time doing this, and I've been scratching a whole bunch of other things over the years, that you have physical mediumship abilities and you don't even know it, you know, and those spirits will try to put on you what they were going through at the time of that trauma or whatever, because they want you to know what they went through. It's not necessarily a demonic sort of attack. It could be so many different things. So,
agreed.
There's
Yeah,
so
a lot
much.
of people go for demon because
No,
it's
not
like
everything.
the buzzword that people like to use, but it's not usually not a demon.
No.
But we can go down that road. You know, we have a lot to talk about, but I'm gonna have to cut this short and have a to be continued.
Yes,
Yeah,
do it.
that way we'll end it here. People will want to come back for the next one.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
I definitely appreciate it, man. We'll get you back beginning of next year. How about that?
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you take care.
Have a good Halloween.
You too.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That conversation. Like I said, we could have kept.
Heck yeah. Now I've got to go. It is at least it's fall time, which is when I read the most. So now I've got to go get a couple of his books.
Yes, so
to add to my list of stuff I want to read this fall and winter.
It's just to have so many experiences you can write a book about.
Yeah.
9 books. I mean, that's crazy.
I think it's awesome. I'm hearing more and more people say they never thought they would write a book, and then here they are writing a book. So
yeah, I would love to write a book about the cabin. I just don't know. That's an old grammar very well, so it should be
that's what editors are for. We were talking, with some of the writers at the Sparacon, and that's what they said. There's editor. You don't even have to put paragraphs in it. Like you can just brain dump. Just write. And there's editors that will make it look nice and pretty for you. So that's what they do.
We did a paranormal magazine called Living Paranormal. It was me, Helena, and her husband, Alex. And I'd write articles for it. And it's tough to get the words out. Writer's block is a real thing. I wrote about the cabin. I wrote about the Exchange Hotel. And just trying to get the right words and to make it sound somewhat interesting.
Right. Of course, you were probably editing your own stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was, and probably like the worst grammar ever. If I get editor actually read the article, there'd be like a whole bunch of like red check marks on it, but it was fun. And she said she's gonna try to open it back, try to do it again. So
that would be fun.
Cool. It'd be a fun experience for sure. So what do you guys have coming up on the Orion Effect?
We've got Shadows Abound.
Ooh, yeah, they're fun. They're we've had them on the show before.
Yes, we have.
You know those people.
I know those people well.
Yes. They are good folks, Greg.
And apparently there's a new member, so he'll be on with us as well. So I don't know if you've met him yet.
I think he may have come out with them to the cabin when they came out to investigate a couple of months ago.
Gotcha.
So that should be fun. And then after that, we are going to take a nostalgic trip to Halloween past. We're going to talk about Halloween memories on Sunday. We'll listen to some Halloween music and some old commercials. It's going to be awesome. And then
get us all in the spirit and ready.
Yes, I'm excited because I've already got some songs. Only finding 3 songs is going to be tough because I've got so many I want to use, but it's gonna be hard to narrow them down to the 3 2 I want to use, and just the final one is going to be tough. And then Tuesday, we're going to have our spiritual roundtable.
Woohoo!
Always a fun conversation. It's going to be you, me, Holly, Dana, and Helena.
Yee-hoo!
And maybe Sarah.
We have Holly and Dana on.
Oh my gosh! And then Helena,
Yeah, and I said, which is good. I'm glad because I felt bad that I missed her last week.
Yeah, I remember that you said that, and when Jerry, which sucks, she can't come on again.
Yeah, I was looking forward to her being on.
Me too. But I think she does her show, and sometimes she can't get off, and I think maybe staying up past 10, or if she's tired because she's got to do a bunch of stuff. So it's understandable.
Yeah,
but Helena's just
like die hard like us and can go at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, and luckily Helena doesn't sleep, so it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
She doesn't sleep.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a fun time. We got a lot of interesting shows coming up, guys. Don't forget to watch the Orion Effect. Oh, I'll be on with Howie tomorrow morning on What's Going Down. So we got that.
Awesome.
Talking about aliens and whatever.
Oh,
comes
cool.
up.
Cool. I missed that was tomorrow. So cool. I'll have to put that on my schedule to tune in.
Look up What's Going Down on YouTube. It's always fun chatting with him about everything that's been happening in the world. I've got to find some articles and to talk about tomorrow. So I best get off there and start working.
Keep going and doing that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Always
Nothing
last
like
minute.
Working under pressure there, Ryan.
Yes. I always, yeah. That's all right. That's when I do my best work. So
me too.
All right, guys.
I procrastinate because I do my best work when I'm under pressure.
Yes. Yeah, I always think about I always tell myself I'm gonna be prepared. But
famous last words.
Never am. I always think sneaks up on me too. I'm like,
yep, same.
Next time I'm gonna be ready. Nope, not so much. So all right, guys. Happy Salmon Day. Go find yourself some salmon tuna. And
how that goes.
And yeah, good luck with that. And we'll be back here Sunday night, same freaking awesome time.
Same freaking awesome channel. And this is Sunday, so we'll be doing all the Halloween stuff.
Yes, we're going to be listening to some good music, having some good times, and yeah, have a good night, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.